The squabble between Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana is interesting. Yesterday I put up a video, or the day before, I put up a video and suggested that maybe we should have sympathy for it because what Corbyn likes doing is debating. But now I think on reflection I was wrong, and various other people have pointed out that I don't understand what I'm talking about, which is probably true. On reflection, I was far too generous yesterday. Someone asked me whether I would be as indulgent if I saw this sort of squabble happening inside Reform UK. The blunt answer is no, of course not. And that exposes the problem with politics itself, the constant aggressive grab for power in small things and in great ones. Politicians seem addicted to it rather than to the harder work of providing service. Sultana declared, "We're building a new kind of party." Well, yes, one that doesn't function. The scene has been slapstick. Sultana invites thousands to hand over £55 for memberships. Corbyn denounces the email as unauthorised, cancels direct debits, and reports his own supposed co-leader to the Information Commissioner. She hits back with accusations of them being a sexist boys' club. This is not the politics of principle, it's Monty Python. So let's bring in a comment from one of my own watchers because it captures the futility of this circus. Rich Grating here. You know it is not that I don't find your blogs uninteresting or lacking in content and enthusiasm. Too many double negatives there. I find them pointless because no matter how much effort, procrastination and hard facts, I use the term loosely, your concerns and observations can never be addressed and remedied. And so does it not simply become an exercise in futility? Well, that stings, doesn't it? Woo! But it is worth hearing because the point of reflection here is not to conjure up instant solutions. Only heads of state and governments can do that. Our task, I think, or my task, is to process the political moment, to understand how leaders behave, and to recognise when chaos is being dressed up as vision. And what chaos this is. A new party that has split before it has even launched. You can say, you look at the Reform, same sort of nonsense actually already going on there. So if I'm not going to reference it with Sultana and Corbyn, as I have with Reform, then you're quite right. I'm not being fair. The Greens rubbing their hands with delight, membership portals crashing. It resembles a phishing scam more than a founding moment. And yet there is tragedy beneath the farce. There are hundreds of thousands of voters, many young, many disillusioned with Labour, who crave something authentic, something principled, something left-wing that is not merely protest but could wield power responsibly. These people were ready to follow Corbyn and Sultana, and now, once again, the left devours itself. The wider question is this: can the British ever produce a credible party outside Labour, or indeed outside the Conservative Party? History says no. The Socialist Labour Party, Respect, the SDP from the other flank, all failed to break the system, momentum to a certain extent. And what makes this latest failure so galling is that it repeats every classic mistake: ego, disorganisation, public infighting, contempt for ordinary supporters who are treated like collateral. And yes, it's amusing. Commentators are right to enjoy the show, but for those who wanted change, it is disheartening. When you are building a new type of party, as Sultana calls it, you must show that you can manage the basics of unity, trust and competence. If you cannot agree on a membership form, how will you run a country? So, I return to the earlier self-criticism. I was too kind yesterday. If this was Reform UK, I would not hesitate to call it a shambles. And believe me, I have no sympathy for the left wing, really. It's, the people who call me socialist or left are missing a trick, and they're missing reality. I'm not. I'm right wing. I'm from the right. I'm from the Conservative Party. It's just the Conservative Party's moved so far right, I won't recognise it. So I find myself clinging to my old ideals, and I find actually a lot of the Labour Party has moved to the right of me. And the truth is, whatever the colour or creed, when politicians put ego before service, chaos follows. You only have to look at some of these people. Suella Braverman, Priti Patel, James Cleverly to a certain extent, and what's the other man? What's the other man called? Anyway, Rob, whatever his name, the other person who wants to be a leader of the opposition, useless because they're so filled with their own self-importance. Boris, our duty, when politicians put ego before service, there is chaos. Our duty is not to excuse it, but to call it for what it is, and to try and work out why it is. Why is it that we can't have politicians who are committed to real service, but instead when they do something wrong they hang on and hang on and hang on. That's why I particularly mention Priti Patel hanging on and hanging on when Boris and she knew she should have gone, and yet she clung on like something from Star Trek, the Klingons, and or something that won't flush, I suppose. These people don't have a sense of their own worth and their own role in the drama. And oh God, what's that other person who won't flush? Matt Hancock. Matt Hancock. I don't know why I'm just quoting conservative people who disgrace themselves in public office, but and not only disgrace themselves by being involved in things which are sort of earthy, but disgrace themselves because they couldn't do the job that they were called upon to do. And that is part of the problem. And I think it is an act of service. If you can't do the act of service, get out of the limelight.